Hi, welcome to the House of Couchie. I'm Emily and I'm in my studio, and I'm actually going to do a studio vlog. You might find it strange that I'm doing a studio vlog when I actually run a vintage business, but I actually do a lot of creative work here in my space. I make art dolls out of vintage fabrics. I make kids' clothes out of vintage fabrics. I do a lot of upcycling of secondhand clothes that I incorporate vintage fabrics onto. And I also make a lot of content here in the space. I do a lot of vintage fashion shoots, and I collaborate with a lot of makers, and I do my YouTube videos here too. And I am working on a whole bunch of projects that aren't yet published, but will be on the internet come this October. And I'm not going to get into that right now because it's in its incubation, but it's pretty exciting, and I definitely will be sharing it with you as we move forward. So these are some of the reasons that I want to share my studio experience with you. There's always something new happening. There's always something visually interesting. And I think both my potential customers might like watching and getting a behind-the-scenes view of what happens here at the House of Couchie. But I think a lot of makers, and both sewing and crafting type makers, and vintage lovers, but also I think content makers might be interested in what's happening in my studio as well. And I share it with my husband, who is a visual artist. He's a sculptor, and he makes some pretty cool things too. So from time to time, I'll touch base with some of the projects he's working on as well, and what the creative process is like for us at the House of Couchie. And then sometimes I just want to talk about some stuff. Hopefully you'll find it interesting. I think you will. Today, maybe you will think it's funny what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the weird name House of Couchie. I don't actually think it's that weird, but I get asked a lot, like, hey, what's up with the name? Like, I've even had YouTube comments like, great show, but what's with the name? Yeah, so House of Couchie, I get asked all the time, do you know what that means? You know what Couchie means, right? Yeah, I've known my whole life what people refer to Couchie as. Yeah, if you don't know, vagina. Is slang for vagina. I mean, you may have heard the classic Muddy Waters song, Hoochie Coochie Mama, Hoochie Coochie Man.
Then the world will know that I'm that Hoochie Coochie Man, but you know I'm here. Everybody knows I'm here.
Yeah, and apparently I read somewhere that the history of it is actually much older, that it's like an 1800s expression when it first came in, and maybe I'll try to Google that before I post this and put a little blurb in the description of what it means, or a link or something like that. But anyways, that's not why I picked Couchie. Although, I am a feminist and I don't mind taking back a word. So, if people want to think that it's the House of, oh, I'm trying to say it. If people want to think that it's the House of Vagina, I don't know if I can stop them on that. But here's what it is. It's my name. I was born Emily Couchie, and I've had a bit of a love-hate relationship with him. It's my dad's name, obviously. That's why I was born with it. It's an Ojibwe name. I am First Nations, and I used to think it was a really cool name when I was a little kid. It sounded cool, and everybody's like, ooh, Couchie, Couchie, coo. And then when I got a little bit older, people started really teasing me, and more so my brother. My brother really got picked on for the name Couchie, but Yeah, then I started to not feel so good about it when I was probably around 8, 9, in around there. And I actually gave my name up. My dad was not in the picture when I was being raised for a good portion of my youth. And my mom met a really great guy, and they got married. And they had a baby, my little sister. And at that time, I really thought we needed to unify our family name, because my sister was going to be the only sibling with a different name than us. And me and my brother just didn't sit well with us, even at a young age of 8 and 12. So we asked my dad to adopt us, and that's when we took his last name. And to be honest, for most of my adult life, I really didn't think much about the fact that I had given up my original birth name. And although I was, still quite a proud First Nations person, I just didn't really connect the dots that I had given up this name. And mainly because I wasn't really involved in that side of my family. But then about 5 years ago, my real father passed away, and I hadn't spent nearly enough time with him. I don't know, it just started to hit me that I'd given up this name, and that it was a cool name, and that I really did want to still be Emily Couchie, as well as my adopted last name. And so I did. I took back that name in the form of my business. And it felt like a really nice honor, because my dad was, a proud First Nations man, and a lot of First Nations people are perceived as protectors of the earth and the environment. And what I do is very much inspired by my belief of protecting nature and environment and not consuming more than we need in life. And so I just thought, man, that's the synergy. I'm gonna be the House of Couchie. I'm gonna bring back the name that I never should have given up completely. Yeah, so there you go. It's not the House of Vagina, it's the House of Couchie. It's me. That's my story. Maybe you were wondering about it, maybe you weren't. But, hopefully you find it a little bit interesting how I came up with my weird name. Yeah, and you know what? House of Vagina is not so bad. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, I hate saying it. I hate begging for something. I hate begging for likes. I hate begging for anything. If you want to like. If you want to subscribe. And if you want to comment, awesome. I really hope that you comment. That's my most favorite thing. So thanks. Come back next week. I've got a really great show where I'm doing a collaboration with my friend Jamie. And oh, she's got a funny name too, but you have to come back to hear what that is. Okay, we'll see you later. Thanks for coming.